What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time that was sent into me by a subscriber that works at a pool as a lifeguard. And, for the most part, he said his job is pretty chill. Most people don't want to be that rude to the lifeguard. Because on the off chance he ends up having to save their life, it's not worth having beef with the dude that's trained to resuscitate you. He's gonna do the chest compressions a little too hard, break as many ribs as possible. But anyways, he was having a pretty standard summer working at this pool, until this guy named Nathan started showing up. And Nathan was just an insanely entitled, spoiled kid who must have lived close to the pool because the dude was there every single day. And every time he showed up, it was just insanely annoying to everyone working because he just didn't listen to literally anything they said. He was the same age as most of the lifeguards, in fact, probably a little bit older than some of them, so he just kind of thought that he didn't have to listen. And it wasn't like they were telling Nathan things that were drastically unfair or overly controlling. They were just trying to enforce the rules, like no running, no diving, the standard pool rules. And Nathan, man, the rules that are pretty standard at every pool, you would have thought that somebody came down and told George Washington he wasn't allowed to have freedom, the way he would react. What do you mean I can't run and dive into the pool? This is insane. This is America. I should be able to do whatever I want. And it's like, listen, bro, basically the reason you can't do that is because we're trying to prevent brain damage from being put onto your brain. But I guess if you really want a USA freedom and run and dive into the shallow end, you're more than welcome to. Anytime they would say something, though, he would basically tell them that they had no authority and that he didn't have to listen to them, which obviously is annoying when you're just trying to do your job. But the problem was, it was kind of true. The lifeguards themselves weren't allowed to kick people out of the pool unless they managed to get a manager to approve the person being removed. And the managers at this particular pool were insanely lazy and wanted to avoid work as much as possible. There was this little air-conditioned room that overlooked the pool, and for the most part the managers would just sit in there and talk and goof off. And so the last thing they ever wanted to do was come out onto the pool deck and actually deal with anything. So Nathan could be as mean as he wanted to the lifeguards, and the managers wouldn't do a whole lot. In fact, a lot of the lifeguards had come together and told the managers about Nathan, and they didn't really care at all. What they told them to do was handle it for themselves because they just thought it would be too much of a process to kick him out. And listen, I understand being lazy at your job. I get it. I'm sure managing a pool is not the most fun thing in the world. And that being said, when your job is like keeping people safe at the pool and you have a regular that just straight up doesn't listen to the people in charge of keeping people safe, maybe kicking him out is a good idea. If he's really going to demand to dive into the shallow end, that's just a lawsuit waiting to happen. Either way, I think the managers would regret telling them to handle it themselves because they decided to handle it themselves and immediately started planning on what to do. If Nathan was going to suck and yell at them and break the rules and make the pool less fun, then they were going to make the pool less enjoyable for him. The one benefit to the managers always staying in that little air-conditioned room is that they weren't too aware of what was actually going on at the pool. For the most part, they could have literally thrown a party, and as long as it didn't get too loud, the managers probably wouldn't even have looked up from their phones. But it also meant that they could mess with Nathan a little bit, and as long as it didn't cause an insane level of freaking out, they really wouldn't get in trouble for it because they're not paying attention anyways. So all the guards decided that the next time Nathan came to the pool, they would let him get in, and then 30 seconds later, they were gonna blow all their whistles and announce that it was time to clean the pool for the day, and they had to shock it, and everyone had to get out for 25 minutes. And yeah, it was pretty petty, but their thought was he would probably just get bored if he had just gotten there and couldn't swim for 25 minutes, and he would leave, and then they just wouldn't have to deal with arguing with him all day. And listen, obviously it's a pretty petty maneuver, but if someone's just not listening to you and your boss said handle it yourself, and you find a way to handle it yourself, I can't really fault you for that. If anything, you should get a promotion, because all you're really doing is following the manager's orders. My goodness, what a great employee. I love it when my employees come together and come up with the master plan to piss off a mini Karen as much as humanly possible. But the idea was to just make him bored so he would leave. And if the entire time he's waiting, he's arguing with people, they would just blow the whistle at him every time he broke the rules. So if he tried to argue and was screaming, just blow the whistle at him. If he tried to run over to another guard and yell at them, you just blow the whistle at him. And the goal was to just annoy him as much as humanly possible and let him know that he wasn't going to be able to walk all over the guards anymore. They were taking back control of the pool. And like I said, sure, it's pretty petty, but that being said, it is also just funny. If you had someone that was always showing up at your workplace and arguing with you, and you had the ability to just blow the whistle at them really loudly every time they said something dumb, you might want to eventually do it too. And to defend the lifeguards for 1 second, they did go to management and try to get it handled by them. They were told to handle it themselves. This is what happens. You tell a bunch of people that don't have to be responsible to handle it, and it's not going to be the way the manager would have. The manager would have gone over probably with like an edible arrangement fruit basket. Nathan, can you please relax on your behavior? It's just really not doing a whole lot for the functionality of the pool. And Nathan would have gone, shut up, I want to dive into the shallow end, moron. It's my right as an American to give myself brain damage. Anyways, the next day at the pool, Nathan shows up, and they actually hear him coming into the pool before they see him because he's in the parking lot screaming out the lifeguard's name and calling them insults. And you know, he's not like swearing in the parking lot. They're relatively mild insults, but still, it sets the mood off rip because he is literally in public walking through the parking lot, screaming out their name and then saying that they suck, you know, their mom's a hoe, that type of thing. And as he's walking in through the parking lot, he has to walk past the tennis courts, and he's screaming this stuff, and there's people on the tennis court, and they're probably insanely confused, trying to enjoy the game. Oh wow, nice backhand. Also, who's Mike and why is his mother such a promiscuous woman? Just really confused as to why someone's screaming in the parking lot. As I said, it's just not worth it to be insulting the person who might have to save your life. Even if you're real confident in your swimming, I just feel like walking through the parking lot screaming at the lifeguards, insulting them, only ends up with you in a situation where no one wants to save you, but whatever. That's his prerogative, but that's kind of the tone for how the day's gonna go. Those lifeguards though, man, I'm not saying it's the hardest job in the universe. I wouldn't say it's like crazy hard. That being said, it is important. Even if you're a good swimmer, you're one Charlie horse away from David Jones' locker. You know, the lifeguards are excited to execute their master plan on Nathan, though. And so the subscriber who sent this to me tells the lifeguards to just wait. Remember, you gotta, like, follow the plan. Don't get overzealous. We got this. Just trying to kind of keep everybody focused. And by this point, Nathan is now in the pool. And when he comes in, he says something about how he feels bad for the lifeguards. And one of the lifeguards asks him why he feels bad for them because he doesn't really understand what's going on. And Nathan started saying that he felt bad for them because they all had horrible jobs and they just weren't smart enough to do anything else. Keep in mind, they haven't even really said anything to the guy yet. This is all off rip. Walking through the parking lot, insulting them, walking in and saying that they're stupid and wouldn't be able to have better jobs, so you feel bad for them. Just no reason to be treating anyone like that, especially someone that's like gonna be, I don't know, watching out for you. And especially as somebody who's like working a job. You're at the pool every day, you're not working. How you gonna hate on somebody that's actually got a gig? Either way, they literally didn't say anything to him, and now they're too stupid for a good job. And everyone is more on board with their plan. Before, there were a few lifeguards that were like, you know, I don't know if I really want to mess with him. It doesn't really seem worth it. But since he decided to come in and just start insulting them and calling them losers, all the lifeguards were now on board with messing with him as much as humanly possible. It's kind of what happens. You start messing with a group, they're probably going to be more on board to mess with you back. They let Nathan get all set up, and he runs and dives into the pool. And obviously, that's against the rules, so they blow the whistle. And Nathan looks all confused, like kind of standing there in the shallow end of a pool. And one of the guards goes up to him and says, hey man, you got to get out of the pool. First of all, no diving. And second of all, we're about to do a chemical cleaning, so you're just not allowed to be in the pool while we're balancing the chemicals. You got to get out. And Nathan isn't really having any of it. And he looks at the guard and says something about how that's not fair. He just got here. They could wait to clean the pool. He's not getting out right now. Doing his usual entitled routine. And listen, obviously you don't want to just get to the pool and then have to wait 25 minutes. But if they're going to clean the pool, they're going to clean the pool. It's not like they're going to magically delay it for one guy. The subscriber, though, had more experience than the guy who was arguing with Nathan. So he starts walking over there. And on his way over there, the argument must have progressed because Nathan decides that he's going to splash water on the lifeguard all dramatically. And maybe in his mind, it was like a really big deal, a way to really show him who's boss. Take that, splash the lifeguard and really teach him a lesson. The only problem is it's pretty stupid to try to splash a lifeguard to teach them a lesson and protest their rules, because all it does is show that you're like not gonna cooperate with them and don't respect them. Other than that, it does literally nothing. I'm pretty sure lifeguards expect to get wet at some point. They're kind of working by a pool, bro. Like, I'm not sure what Nathan expected when he decided to splash this guy who was telling him to get out for the chemical cleaning. He was gonna pull a Wicked Witch of the West. I'm melting. Like, dude, lifeguards' uniforms is literally a swimsuit or swim trunks. Like, it's literally a part of the uniform. You know, you might have to dive into the water to save somebody's life. So, yeah, splashing them, all it does is just make you look petty. Sure, okay, he might be annoyed for 25 seconds, but at the end of the day, he was probably expecting to get splashed with water at some point, considering he works at a pool. But Nathan is just arguing with him, saying he's not gonna get out, he just refuses, blah, 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 blah. And the subscriber finally gets over there and can join the conversation. When the subscriber gets to Nathan, he just tells him that he has to get out of the pool. And now Nathan starts arguing with him and asks why. And the subscriber explains that they have to clean the pool with chemicals, blah, 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 blah. And it wouldn't be safe to swim in chemicals because that's how you end up in X-Men. But not a cool X-Men, like one with really, really lame powers. I have the ability to turn into a bucket, you know? Like, not a fun one is when you swim in chemicals. Either that or you just get a rash over your entire body, like the size of Texas. But, you know, you don't really want to be swimming in chemicals if you can avoid it. If the Simpsons movie taught me anything, it's that chemical contamination, oh my gosh, if I could talk, that'd be sick, is never a good thing. Nathan, though, still really isn't getting it and says, well, why do you need to clean it if the water's not dirty? And listen, it doesn't matter if the water looks dirty. You're in a public pool. You gotta hit that stuff with the chemicals once a day. Otherwise, that's just gross. Like, at that point, it's just a large bathtub with hundreds of people's germs in it. Not even just hundreds of people, hundreds of strangers' germs in it. You know how many weird diseases probably end up in a pool filter on the daily? A lot. I mean, I don't know for sure. I don't, own a pool cleaning company, but I'm gonna guess that those filters get pretty gross after a few hundred people have just been soaking in that water. Yummy. I would not necessarily want to be in it without it being cleaned. Maybe that makes me a freak. I'm sure some people in the comments are like, I prefer dirty water. Hey, good for you, man. The subscriber tells Nathan, though, that, he has to get out of the water because it looks clean, but it can be dirty. And on top of that, tons of kids have probably peed in the water, so it's up to him. If he really wants to insist on swimming in it, then, okay, that's up to him, I guess. But if he wants them to clean the pee out of the pool, then he should get out. And at that point, Nathan is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's got to get out, or he's kind of got to accept that he's choosing to swim in dirty kid pee water. Not very swag, but the plan worked, and he ends up going fine, I'll get out. He literally scoffed when he said that, but, he does get out, and then he asks how long it's gonna be. And the subscriber tells him it'll be about 25 minutes, and Nathan starts whining, and he's like, are you kidding me? Is there any way that you guys can do it faster? And listen, I understand 25 minutes is an annoyingly long wait, but Nathan, dude, I don't think that's how chemicals work. I don't think anyone has the ability to really speed up a chemical cleaning. I don't think chemicals do that. No matter how much they take the chemicals into the back room and give it an 80s sports movie motivational speech, it's not going to speed it up. All right, Chlorine, if you ever want to redeem your war crimes, you gotta clean this pool and you gotta do it fast. We got people waiting to swim in this. I don't think the lifeguard, I don't think anyone can really make it go faster. So, whatever. He's kind of complaining about it, but there's not much they can do. And he sits on the chair that his stuff's on, all pissed off because he's gonna have to wait. And they go about cleaning the pool. And obviously, they're kind of taking their sweet time cleaning the pool. It's not like they're having a huge sense of urgency about it. Yes, is it annoying? Sure. But there was nobody else there at this current time other than Nathan. So they were like, look, let's take as long as possible and just troll him. That was their plan from the start, but they're cleaning the pool. They're not taking insanely long. They're not going to double the time, but it might take 5 extra minutes just because they're triple checking their measurements. Obviously, when you're dealing with chemicals, you never want to have the potential for an accident. So if you just take some extra time to double check that all your measurements are correct, that's probably the responsible thing to do, honestly. Alright guys, we're about halfway through the video, so I'm going to ask you to smack the like button if you're enjoying the video so far. Helps the video do better and I'd appreciate it. Deuces. And they had expected Nathan to just give them a crap ton of problems the entire time they were cleaning the pool, just because he's always complaining, but for the most part, he's pretty quiet at first. He just kind of sits there waiting for his giant blow-up to come, and they can tell he's kind of stewing, but he's not saying anything. Functioning a little bit like a volcano, where the pressure just keeps building and building up, and eventually it's gonna result in an eruption, but for now the volcano's just looking angrier and angrier. And for 10 minutes, he's just kind of sitting there staring at them cleaning the pool, and they could tell he was getting more pissed off, but hey, it's not their problem. In fact, what I think he's probably doing for those 10 minutes is like, you know when you're having an imaginary scenario in your head and you're arguing back and forth to like prepare for an argument that's never happened? He's probably in his head getting ready to be like, why is this taking so long? And then they're gonna say this and I'm gonna say this. I don't know why, I just get that vibe from Nathan. Probably why he was so quiet for 10 minutes is he's like pretending he's about to have his movie lawyer moment where he's just gonna light up all of these lifeguards for taking too long to clean the pool and violating his right to freedom. Never forget, Nathan is a patriot for the right to dive into the shallow end of a pool. Finally though, 11 minutes after they told him to get out of the pool, he snaps. He stands up all quick and literally stomps over to the subscriber like an angry dinosaur, like stomp, 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 trying to make his feet make the loudest noise possible. Probably hurt his feet, because I'm gonna assume slamming on concrete barefoot doesn't feel too great after a minute. But he stomps his way over to the subscriber and is like, what's taking so long? And the subscriber tells him the truth, which is that the chemicals are doing their thing, they can't speed it up, and at the bare minimum it's gonna be about another 15 minutes. And he's sorry for the inconvenience, but obviously they have to clean the pool to keep it at a certain quality, blah blah blah. But he's lathering on that like customer service voice where they're being overly nice. Nathan, I'm so sorry for the interruption. My goodness, if there was a way for me to have not cleaned the pool right now, then I would have done it. But unfortunately, we have standards, and I can't get in trouble with my boss. I hope you understand. We love having you here. And he's saying everything he's gotta say, but he's doing it with just enough sarcasm where Nathan can pick up that it's not genuine, but not enough sarcasm where he can like go to the manager and say he's being facetious? That perfect amount of like being a customer service professional while also being petty. And to that information and hint of pettiness, Nathan just absolutely loses his marbles. If he was a kid in the Great Depression and had a collection, they would be gone, because all of his marbles just go flying out the window. You expect me to wait 25 minutes to use the pool? That's ridiculous! And the subscriber tries to get out an explanation about how like it wasn't his choice for how long the chemicals took, but Nathan only lets him get about halfway through his sentence before he keeps screaming, that's insane, I'm a customer of this pool, you guys are morons, I don't understand why you just can't speed up this process. Once again, because chemicals don't really react well to being yelled at and told to speed up, I don't think that would do anything. But on top of it, the subscriber's really annoyed that he called himself a customer of the pool, because it was like a community pool for the development they were in. It was paid for by the HOA, and it was free for people who lived there. I mean, obviously his parents were paying for the pool, but it wasn't like he was a customer of anything, because, you know, he didn't pay for anything. It was a community pool that was included in like the HOA dues. Sorry. Not that it would matter. The guards would treat everyone the same whether they paid or not. They're usually professional, but him using the whole like I'm a customer excuse on why he's acting how he's acting just makes no sense, because no one paid. Anyways, though, he just kind of kept screaming at them that, like, they're a bunch of high school dropouts, they're a bunch of pathetic losers, he could do a better job of this in his sleep, it's not very hard to do what they do, la-da-la-da-la-da. And listen, I've literally never been a lifeguard, okay? I've never sat up on the stand and had to watch people do anything. I have no clue how hard it would be. I wouldn't say it's in, like, my top 5 hardest jobs that I would imagine are the most difficult. I wouldn't say it's, like, a top 10 even. That being said, I don't think it's like the easiest job you could ever have in your life. I'm sure there's a lot easier options, and one thing that I know for sure, Nathan, is that you can't do it when you're asleep. I could do a better job in my sleep. I'm pretty sure at the bare minimum, lifeguarding does require consciousness, you know, like being able to see the people that might be drowning in the pool is an important step in the process. I don't want anyone to drown, don't get it twisted, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think you could do this job unconscious, Nathan. But whatever, they're just kind of like looking at him, screaming at them for not being able to speed up a chemical process. And when the lifeguards don't start screaming back, Nathan decides that he's just not done yelling yet, and so he starts screaming that they get paid to basically stand around and stop people from running, but they're not going to be able to stop him from running anymore. Which, hey man, USA, but that's really what you're like massively preoccupied with is your right to run by the pool. That's like something that they don't want you to do because the floor's slippery and you might get hurt, not because they hate the joy of aerobics. But he decides to start running around the pool, I guess to teach them a lesson about how they don't control him. And right when he starts running, all of the lifeguards strike. It wasn't like they synchronized their watches, but everyone had been watching this go down, so in unison as he starts sprinting, all of the lifeguards just blow their whistles at him. And there's like 5-6 guards out on the pool deck, and it's a pretty small pool, so when they all whistle in unison, it's really, really loud. The pool had these tall walls around it, so it echoes off, and then like, obviously, the sound hits Nathan's eardrums and he reacts. And at first he's kind of stunned by just the sheer loudness of it, and then in his best like Aslan the Lion roar, just screams, "Stop blowing your whistles at me!" and starts sprinting over to the nearest lifeguard. Well, he's running, and guess what? Running is a violation of the rules, so obviously the lifeguards have to blow their whistles at the rule violation. So they blow their whistle, and he is stunned again because he's like, what is going on? And he gets to the guard and screams, "I said stop blowing the whistle!" And he grabs the whistle, which is hanging around this lifeguard's neck, and yanks it. And it's one of those whistles that has like a clasp at the back, so it just kind of gets pulled against his neck and pops off. It doesn't hurt him or anything. And then he throws it in the pool. And the guard wasn't pissed by this. I probably would have been like ready to throw hands with Nathan if he's gonna grab something off my neck. But he's literally laughing in Nathan's face. And, you know, believe it or not, it's also against the rules to yank something off of a lifeguard. So all the lifeguards decide to blow their whistle again. And they're basically trolling him. They're just gonna keep whistling at him until he decides to leave or stops acting like a moron. Good idea. And Nathan, being the absolute monster he is, starts running over to a different lifeguard. And as he's running over, they all blow the whistle. And before he can even get to the second lifeguard, he realizes that he's not gonna win this one. Life isn't some video game where like there's an objective to take every guard's whistle. Not like all of a sudden some pop-up appeared on the left side of Nathan's vision. Objective, destroy all whistles to activate the boss fight. Like nothing was gonna happen, he was just gonna keep getting whistled at. They were eventually gonna dive into the pool and get the whistles back. So he decides to give up, and so he walks back over to his chair and starts packing up all the things he had brought to the pool, right? And he's trying to pack up, but he's really angry, and he's yelling about, you know, how unfair they've treated him, blah, 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 shouldn't have blown the whistle, and he's so angry while he's trying to pack up his stuff that it's taking him longer to pack it up. Like, you ever seen someone really pissed off trying to fidget with a zipper and they're just, I hate you, but they can't get the zipper, and you're trying not to laugh because it's like, man, it's not funny that you're this mad, but it's funny that you're screaming at me and can't unzip something. That's basically what he's got going on with his backpack. And he's screaming about how he hates every lifeguard there and they suck and he won't be coming back. He'll be using the other pool in the community. And like I said, this particular pool was in like a neighborhood development type of thing for people that lived there, and they had 2 of them, one on either side of the neighborhood. So theoretically, he could use another pool and never have to see these lifeguards again. And that was his threat, was that he was never going to come back to this pool. And that's not a very good threat when the lifeguards hate you enough to be planning like this huge plan to piss you off as much as humanly possible. The lifeguards don't care that you're never coming back here. If anything, they're probably like, let's go, finally. Huge W. And he ends up walking out of the pool. He stomps off pretty angrily, but as he turns around, he flips off the subscriber and says something along the lines of like, This is the most unprofessional group I've ever seen, blah, 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 blah. But the subscriber decides to just blow his whistle at him for 1 second just to troll him anymore. And so he blows his whistle and Nathan yells, "I said stop blowing your whistle," and starts running off the pool deck out to the facility. And as he's running, the cacophony of whistles starts sounding one last time just to piss him off. One last, "Hey, no running in the pool," and he turns back and flips him off again. And so now Nathan's gone, apparently never gonna come back. He's learned his lesson. The chemical cleaning took too long. And all the guards are standing there laughing because it was their plan to troll him, but they didn't expect it to go as well as it did. Like it was a bonus event. But all the whistling actually inspired their manager to get up for once. So their manager comes out of the air conditioning area and is like, "Hey, why do you guys all keep whistling? We can hear it in there." And the subscriber decides to reply and says that somebody had been running and the rules say that they're supposed to blow the whistle at anyone breaking the rules, so that's what they did. And the manager is kind of stuck because he didn't see anything. Obviously, they weren't really paying attention until they heard the whistling. And technically, it is part of their training to blow the whistle at people breaking the rules, so he couldn't really scream at them for it, but he knew something was a little bit off about it. He was skeptical, but, you know, that's one of the best parts about your manager not paying attention is they don't really have anything that they can say about you because they didn't see it. Just went on back to the air conditioning, and all the lifeguards continued to laugh about it because they knew that they had basically gotten away with it. And I'm not saying that their plan was some type of tactical genius. I don't think it would be used in modern military functions, but it did end up working because as long as the subscriber was working at that pool, Nathan never did show back up. I don't know if that's because he really hates the guards that much. Maybe he got home and thought about it some more and was insanely embarrassed. That's what I'm voting for. If I had a freak out like that in a public place and like started screaming that I really, really hate all the workers in this Walmart and they suck and they're stupid and pathetic, and then went home and realized how big of a jerk I was, I would just know that you can never go to that Walmart again. Like, you just can't show your face in a place where you've had a freak out of this magnitude. So sure, while it was petty trolling, it did work, so you can't really hate it for the simple reason that it was effective. Especially because he could just go to another pool. It's not like he had to show his face around there. Still got the benefits of swimming without having to see all the people that pissed him off. Just don't act like Nathan. There's no reason to be screaming at people that are just doing their job, especially if their job might pertain to having to save your life. It's better to be nice to them, I promise. No matter how much you convince yourself that it's not, it is just better to be nice. Not to everybody. Some dude gives you a weird look on the bus. Hey, tell him he's weird. But someone's gonna, be nice to you? Okay, be nice back. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I thought it was a pretty good story time, so I would share it with y'all. If you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. If you don't know what to comment, just go ahead and comment "lifeguards can't swim" down below. It just helps the video do better and I'd appreciate it. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss another video. I post pretty often. If you really want to help me out, I do post the audio versions of these videos up on Spotify. If you want to listen offline without gameplay, whatever floats your boat, a link can be found in the description. And on top of that, I went ahead and made a playlist of my favorite videos I've released this year so far. That can also be found in the description. Feel free to check it out. I would very much appreciate ya. But on that note, that'll officially do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.